Hello, um, anyone watching this? Uh, it's currently 11:50 something, January 1st, 2025. And my name is Mortal. You can call me Mortal Sunset. I'm doing this video diary just because I felt like I wanted to, as part of my New Year's resolution, which should also probably be to get rid of this, because as I looked at it in the camera, this is a lot bushier than I thought it was. I wanted to record this just because I felt inspired to do so from another channel that I found this holiday season called Cheeseburger. I have to talk very quiet because it's late and I'm at home for the holidays, and the rest of my family is all asleep. But I wanted to record this to just kind of process the start of my new year and looking back over the last year, and what I want to do. And I kind of want to make this into its own project and connect with people, online, and just talk about like dreams or hopes for the future or whatever. So I just wanted to start this video diary project as, that. Today has been, this entire holiday season has been kind of depressing for me. It's for these 3 weeks, it's, on average been nowhere near as cold enough as it should be. We've gotten no snow, and I'm someone that's like, my mood and my emotional state is very much determined by the weather, seasonable weather. And when it's unseasonable weather, I get very upset and I get very easily depressed. Like, it's just been a very windy, very wet end to 2024 and start of 2025. But I hear soon that when I go back to school next week, that we're gonna get, a snowstorm, and we're gonna hopefully, where I go to school, we're gonna hopefully get like, upwards of, I think, like over half a foot of snow, which is wonderful. I've been waiting for that all year, and I'm really excited to sit inside and do nothing because of it. But this winter break has just been kind of depressing, and I think that's also partly because I've been thinking a lot about, like, what is my future look like? Like, what does the next year, what does the next 2 years, what does the next 4 years look like for me? And I'm very worried, as I know a lot of people around me are, whether they say it or not, or whether they joke about it or not. I'm finishing my second year of grad school, and I feel more unprepared for what I'm going to be doing next than I had before I even entered grad school. But I have been, trying to motivate myself to work more and more on my creative project and get, work done. But but it's been kind of a struggle to keep myself motivated in the face of a lot of what's going on, outside of my academic life right now, outside of all of our lives, like our immediate lives right now. But yeah, I guess, I want this to sit as, I want to try to do these, I'm kind of talking this out like there's a ton of people already here, but I want to try to do these maybe once a day, just for a year, and to see where it takes me. But, and, do minimal editing or whatnot. But, hopefully it's just a nice voice to have in the background talking. I like to do that a lot. The end to last year was also kind of difficult. I started getting kind of depressed again in, after Halloween, and really, the last couple weeks of the semester after Thanksgiving. I don't feel like I've done as much work as I've been expected to do for my obligations, and that's made me start to feel really low and just kind of uninspired. There are some things that I really want to do that, especially this year, and I don't want those individual interests to get in the way of the very real other stuff that I have to do. But I've just been thinking about, I've been thinking a lot about what do I want out of my life? What matters the most to me? And I think that I really just want to feel comfortable. I want to feel comfortable in my convictions, my creative convictions, and my creative visions. I want to have the space to be myself. I want to have the space to not be myself. I feel like with some of my obligations, I've not really been myself for a while. I've kind of avoided doing things that are really expected of me, and I apologize for that. And I want to make a commitment for this year to kind of be more experimental, start doing things, kind of look at what's around me and really sort of envision and focus on that I'm doing them for myself. And think more emboldened to do things right. I've been thinking about wanting to start an electronic design and learn how to develop a small video game with free tools on itch.io. And I don't know what either of those things look like at all. There's a fabrication lab on campus that I'd really like to get the certification for, to start just making things in 3D. But I somewhat feel I don't know, I'm losing interest in being around people, which I think that's just a depressive symptom. I'm very picky choosy with the people I want to spend time with and be around. and sort of like avoiding more of the things that are like, I gotta be responsible for this. But yeah, that's kind of what I want. And kind of doing this, I've thought about really starting a YouTube channel that has to do with like like small, like very bite-sized, social media focused video games content. Very small reviews, community engagement, recommending things to people primarily through YouTube. I don't really know what that looks like yet. I've not really made any templates for it yet. But that's something I've wanted to do for a while. And I think when I have the time, I want that to be like my project. I think a lot about like my grandfather and my great-grandfather. They had things that when they weren't at work, because there was so, relative to now, little to do outside of work when they were alive. I really want to find a creative passion and like dedicate more of my time to that. Whether that's, making a zine or working on this YouTube channel or figuring out how to develop a game, like find my woodworking. And I've not really had a passion. Like, I love writing, but I've not really had a passion like that for some time. Like, the last couple of years have just felt like, I'm the hamster on the wheel, and there's no other wheel. Like, that's my entire enclosure, is just the wheel, and then the fluff around it. So, I think it's like, finding something to play with and get my hands on. Yeah. I think, I don't know what else I want to include in this. I'm sure I'll probably make like other entries or record other entries when I can't sleep, or to kind of offload for other things. Yeah, sorry that I'm stammering. That kind of, I'm sort of omni-aware of this thing that's like constantly recording me, and I can't kind of separate the fact that it's always recording me, but it's also recording my silence. And when I'm not saying something, and you ever feel like you always have to be saying something, like you can't just sit and say nothing, like you have to fill the space, or else you feel very alone. Like in a room full of people, if no one's talking, you feel the most alone. Yeah, I feel that. So I guess I don't know how I want to round this off, but I want to talk about New Year's resolutions. I've never really stuck with a New Year's resolution, and also because I ramble. That's another important thing. My brain goes all over the place. It's like that that ADD storyteller map where it's like you start here and then the finish line is here, but then you go around here and then you reach there. I've never really stuck to New Year's resolutions before. I've come up with a few, when I was very young and as I've gotten older. I remember it was a few years back, I came up with one of like, I want to read one book a month, I want to finish one video game a month, I want to watch one new movie a month, I want to finish one new TV series a month. I want to do that for 12 months, and then I want to get to the end, and I want to be like, oh, I can create my own personal top list, right? Like the 5 best or the 10 best or whatnot. I don't think I kept up with that very well. You know, I've had New Year's resolutions where it's like, oh, I wanna, you know, I wanna get up to a certain weight because I've always had trouble with my body and like gaining muscle. And I've tried that before, and for a while I was successful there. It very much depends on like what sort of situation I'm in mentally. But I think like from what I remember hearing, people always say that like the simpler the New Year's resolution, or the resolution that's like not tied to an artifact or a marker, is easier to follow. So I think some of the New Year's resolutions that I want to go with align a little bit more with that. One, like I said, is finding my woodworking. And just finding a project that I can dedicate some time to this year. Whether it's making my own Zine, or making my own game, or, you know, working on, I don't know, this diary channel. I don't think it's going to be a big thing, but like working on that gaming YouTube review thing. I think that's one. It's like finding my woodworking, finding the thing that outside of academia, outside of looking for a job, outside of a job, that I can sit back and be like, oh, this is something I'm doing that's not scrolling on my phone, that's not watching TV aimlessly or watching YouTube aimlessly. Which ties into my next resolution, in that I kind of unilaterally just want to walk away from certain social media. I kind of left my Twitter account inactive for a long time, and I've not really posted anything on it in years. So I've kind of stepped away from that, but I hear this like the siren of blue sky calling, and I've resisted it thus far. I've become kind of addicted to Reddit. And the thing for me is like, Reddit is not a bad app when you stick to the communities that you actually want to be in. And what I've found is that Reddit does a phenomenal job at recommending you a bunch of stuff that you don't actually want to see, but it thinks you do. So kind of I want to step away from that. Step away from the microblogging of like Twitter or Blue Sky. And really just focus in on like something like LinkedIn, where it's like professional development. Focus on like learning things, or like skill building, not necessarily always talking about my life. I always tell people that like, if people want to know what's going on in my life, they will text me or I will text them, or I will call them. The people who don't do that, or who I don't do that with, I don't think need to know that much about my life. So I think I want to do like more of that, where I'm like, hey, not gonna be on this kind of platform at all. Like, I'm only gonna use it for messaging or whatnot. Like, make that sort of active determination. Be like, I separate myself from the rat race. And then, beyond that, I'm not sure. I think I want to become more dedicated. I felt my interest in things that I previously loved slip a lot over the last year, and that really sucks. And I know that, that's a mental thing, but I want to find stuff that inspires me again and pushes me to like, oh, I want to just put something out there, right? Like, make my mark on the world. And that's what I kind of want to do more this year. I saw a suggestion from a list. It was strangest thing. It was a list of 20 things you can do to combat fascism right now. And one of the ones that were on it was make art and just put it somewhere. Put it somewhere that people will see it, and people will smile, and people will recognize it, and will make someone's day better. And if it gets taken down, or it gets removed or defaced, it's okay. You can make more. You can always create more. And I want to kind of start doing that. Just creating without abandon. And just doing it because that's my resistance. That's, whether that's through drawing simple stuff and just, putting it somewhere, or having QR codes for like, social goods, or local political action, or just kind of writing and like putting that out somewhere. I've wanted to do. So, and then doing this, I think, is one way of doing that. So, yeah. And then just having this be a record of that. Those are kind of my resolutions. So, with that, I think the last thing I'll say is just, what did I do today, or what did I do over the weekend? I didn't do much. I've been working on my application for this internship in Oregon that I really want really bad because it's a really good opportunity, and a very good friend from school had the same internship last year, I want to say. So they know a decent amount of people there, and she's gonna put in a good word for me, and I'm really, really hoping that I can land this internship. So I've been working on like completely revamping my resume to make it look better or organize a little bit better, rewriting a cover letter for this particular internship, and kind of putting the materials together to land it, hopefully. It's at a fairly prestigious place, so I expect that there's going to be a lot of people for them to look for, but I'm really encouraged by, I feel really good about this situation and this setup. Other than that, it's just, I've been watching college football with my parents and my brother. Went to an art exhibition last weekend. Yeah, that's most of what I've done. Opened my school email for the first time in I think 2 weeks, which, 5 months, 5 more months, and I'm done. So, yeah, I think that's what I did today, and, I hope that you all did something that made you proud today as well. Made you happy. So, this is me signing off on the first one of these. Love yourselves, love each other, and I'll see you in the next one, or I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.